give me a moment's peace and take out the trash.
We pay taxes for people to come and take the garbage.
Hey, listen, Greenie, no more sneaking rides to the junkyard.
Yeah, man, take a taxi when you want to go to the junkyard.
Hello and welcome to Hot Trash Unlimited, the show where me, Caleb,
and me, Joe,
try to find movies that will be hot trash. Joe, what did we watch this week? Our third week of American adaptations of Japanese anime.
Yes, and our finale of the American anime movie adaptation marathon.
Saga, if you will.
The arc. We closed it with perhaps the biggest mistake of all, Dragonball Evolution. Sorry, there's no space. Dragonball Evolution.
With this Dragon Ball, I take my vengeance upon the earth.
We have to find the Dragon Balls before the eclipse.
Let's go.
We'll go, but we go together. Cool.
This spring, the battle for our world
Who are you?
will begin.
When we were coming up with these movies that we were going to watch for this miniseries, this was kind of
Saga.
The saga. I'm very sorry. This was kind of an obvious one because it's bad. Everyone knows it.
Let's get that out of the way.
It's famously bad, but also I feel like there are three anime that kind of served as gateway for people our age.
Defined American, like the American interest in anime.
Yeah, it's this, Pokemon, and Naruto. Naruto doesn't have a movie. Pokemon was already a gaming thing, so like it had something attached.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like this is the definitive anime.
It's one of them. Yeah, it's a big one. I feel like when you're watching Dragon Ball as a kid, and I didn't watch it until I was like a teenager. I feel like when you're watching Dragon Ball as a kid, there's something like different about it. Not in a way like it's special or not, like there's the anime-isms about it. Watching Pokemon, like I don't think as a kid I like this was just another cartoon.
Well, yeah, but it's that gateway, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I know nothing about Naruto, so like it may land more on the Pokemon side or the Dragon Ball
Naruto's
side.
way younger than like in terms of getting to America than those two too.
But I feel like those two like prime you, and then Dragon Ball is the clear entry point. I'm sure nowadays that's My Hero Academia or Demon Hunter.
Demon Slayer,
Yeah, Demon Slayer, that's what it's called. Or something like that.
It's also much easier, much more accessible nowadays. The whole medium.
But even then, I don't think that stuff, and maybe that's because it hasn't had time to yet. It hasn't permeated pop culture in a way Dragon Ball has. Like just in terms of iconography and stuff.
Goku was at the Olympics one year.
That's really weird.
He was the mascot for the Olympics.
That's really weird.
There was a balloon of him for Thanksgiving one year.
Yeah, I remember that. Anyway, the point is, Dragon Ball is infamous. Both the anime for being good.
I think famous is the word you're looking for. I don't think the anime is infamous.
Yeah. Famous for being good. And then the movie is infamous for being bad.
There you go.
But Joe, I know nothing about Dragon Ball. Actually, let me tell you what I do know about Dragon Ball. Goku is based on the Monkey Prince from Journey to the West.
Yes.
And the first series, he's a kid. He has a tail.
Yes.
And it's mainly just him doing random stuff. Eventually they get the Dragon Balls, but it's not as tournament arcy.
You're wrong already.
Okay. Well, let me just get through it.
Yeah.
Then Dragon Ball Z came out.
Mm-hmm.
And was my impression was more tournament arcy. He's older. And basically what happens is a bad guy pops up. They fight. They spend a couple episodes charging up. Goku always wins. And then the bad guy becomes the good guy so that the next bad guy can attack. And then one time in one of the movies, they time traveled back and there was Hitler. And then there's Dragon Ball GT, but I don't know what that is. Explain to me what Dragon Ball is.
You're wrong and right in like so many ways. Okay, Dragon Ball. Yes. Journey to the West was a gag series for most of its run. It became more action oriented. First 14 chapters were the very Journey to the Westy stuff. They got the Dragon Balls out by that. Tournament arc happened was the second arc. So that's where tournament arcs are the bulk of Dragon Ball, where there's a little adventure arc, tournament arc, adventure, tournament, because they're like getting stronger in between and they fight new opponents and stuff. And yes, lots of fight a bad guy, they become a good guy immediately afterwards. Z, there's two tournament arcs, and they're not a bulk of the series either. I wouldn't even call them arcs. One's an arc, one is 2 episodes. Z is when you find out Goku's an alien. He's a Saiyan, and they're the only characters that matter. None of the big villains they fight really become good after that. Vegeta, notwithstanding, but like big one, Frieza, he dies. Cell, he dies. Boo, he doesn't comes back, but
I
that's
thought
about
Boo
it.
was good. He's the pink one?
He's the pink one.
Okay.
Yeah, he dies, but they expel the evil from him, so big fat pink Boo's good.
Okay.
And also evil Boo gets reborn as Oob.
And Android 17 is good.
And 18.
And 18.
Well, they were bad at first.
Yes.
Okay. The major enemies do not turn good for the most part, but a lot of the minor ones do.
Okay.
And then GT was non-original material.
Is there a problem with scale with this show? I feel like if
like
you
power scaling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like
it's constantly all right, we beat the big bad. Oh, there's a bigger one.
Oh, and then this is very irrelevant because it's not in the movie, but you can fusion dance, but you have to have an earring.
No, that's a different kind of fusion.
Okay, I don't think we need to
one
get
is
into
a dance,
the details.
one is you put two earrings on one people and then they fuse.
Wow, that sounds like the lamer version or way to fuse.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Dragon Ball.
Also, Super's the new series. That's the modern stuff.
So if that was confusing to you listeners, don't worry, I'm right here with you. But you can forget most of that because let me tell you what Dragon Ball the movie is.
Evolution.
So Ray William Johnson is Goku. And he goes to high school, beats up some bullies.
Texas Battle is one of them.
Yeah, a guy named Texas Battle.
That's his actor's name. I think his character is like Funly or something like that.
In the first scene, his grandpa gives him a Dragon Ball. And then 2 scenes later, his grandpa is killed because there's a guy named Piccolo.
Yes.
Piccolo looks like a Super Scroll. And
he does.
he's going around and trying to get the Dragon Balls so he can resurrect his sidekick from the past because Piccolo used to try to
Wait, was that his goal?
Yeah.
I thought Piccolo's goal, he said it at the final battle where he was like, and now I'll use the Dragon Balls to take over this world.
Listen, it's confusing. Anyway, Goku's grandpa gets killed, and so he goes on a journey. And
To the west.
I assume so. There's no sense of space in this movie. He teams up with some characters who don't have personality. There's
They fit right in with Goku.
There's like a Mortal Kombat training base where Ernie Hudson is the head of the order. Master Roshi says namaste to him, even though none of them are Hindu. And eventually they get to the end. Piccolo kills Master Roshi.
No, Roshi kills himself trying to trap
Yeah,
Piccolo.
yeah. And then Piccolo's like, surprise, Goku, you're my sidekick this whole time. And Goku turns into a were-monkey. But then because he believes in himself, he defeats Piccolo until the ending when there's a very long after credit scene. And Joe was very excited that we would get Vegeta, even though this movie is not getting a sequel, so I don't know why. But it turns out it's just Piccolo.
Not even that's not getting a sequel, that it did not get a sequel 14 years ago.
Yeah. And the original's not good. Anyway, it's a real, if you're curious about like, I wonder why Caleb didn't mention any of like the personality or character development.
I was about to say, now if that sounded like not a lot happened in this movie,
you're right.
It's because not a lot happened in this movie.
There's a bad lady who's Piccolo's sidekick named
Mai.
You wouldn't know that from the movie. She
They never say her name and she never speaks.
But she shapeshifts.
Yes.
She mystiques.
Which she cannot do in the manga.
Anyway, this is a weird movie that's pretty boring and bad. So
okay, so you want to know what they got right?
Dragon Balls.
Yes.
Those are in both of them.
Are both of them.
Master Roshi is a pervert.
Yes.
Played down in this, I would assume.
Yeah, he's not looking up Bulma's dress.
I give up. What else?
So this is like a fusion of the intro arc of Dragon Ball, which is just a big adventure. So it wouldn't make for a really good movie, I don't think. And then the last arc of Dragon Ball, the Piccolo arc. They fused the beginning and the end. And it's sloppy. I feel like that goes without saying. And also, to this movie's benefit and its detriment, it's only 82 minutes long. Benefit, you don't have to sit through the show that it is. Detriment in that there's absolutely no time to make you care about anything that's going on in this movie. Would you say this movie has a 3-act structure?
Yeah, it does. But here's the thing. Most stories have a 3-act structure. Having a 3-act structure isn't good.
No,
it's like quality neutral.
Well, I was wanting you to say yes, because yes, it does have a 3-act structure. A 10-minute first act, an hour-long middle act, and then a 10-minute final act.
Yeah. It's kind of like Elektra in that sense, where Elektra is a movie that moves so quick that I was like, oh, wait, it's over already? Wait, what happened? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's weird. They go to the great lengths to introduce Bulma. She showed up in the first chapter of Dragon Ball. Makes sense. I don't know why Chi-Chi's in this movie, because you need a love interest, because it's also a high school movie for 10 minutes.
Let's dive into that part for a minute, because this does look like the lost Disney Channel original movie. The exposure,
Dragon Ball musical.
the exposure is cranked very high up. What these people are wearing, I mean, prime aughts fashion, but still, it's just, in my mind, aughts fashion screams Disney Channel original movies.
Yeah.
Because that's how old I was back then.
Exactly.
But also just in the way this operates, except much more violently. Like, instead of, I assume this scene is in things like Good Luck Charlie or Minutemen or whatever those movies were called.
One is a show, but okay.
Like, there'd be the scene where the character would be picking on the bullies, and then there'd be like a chase through the hall, and it would end with like him maybe tripping up the bullies, but then he runs into the principal at the end and gets in trouble.
Yeah, that sounds like a generic enough thing.
Yeah, this one is just a fight. Not a good fight, but it's there.
They're going to cut Goku's legs off with a sword, but they're just demolishing his car?
Yeah. The bully's car.
You think he would like, I'm going to step away.
Well, you think he wouldn't fight Goku after Goku like knocks down 10 other people, but this movie has to operate on some sort of logic. They're also in a high school where the science teacher, I guess it's physics, has to explain to the kids what a solar eclipse is.
They're 18. It's senior year, baby.
I don't know.
Physics was my junior year, but I imagine that's a lot of people's senior year.
Yeah, but you knew what a solar eclipse was.
That doesn't mean the teacher doesn't have to like explain it for the dummies.
This teacher is saying it like it's the most foreign concept ever. He's like, what happened?
I knew plenty of things, but teachers still had to like reiterate it over and over again because there's just people who don't pick up on stuff.
Yeah.
I'll cut the teacher some slack, man. He's underpaid.
Oh, I'm not blaming the teacher. I'm blaming the real villain of this. I'm blaming the scriptwriter. How do you feel about the action in this?
It's like a Spy Kids movie. It's like a Disney Channel original movie. Honestly, probably the Karate Kid remake had better action. I never saw that, but I'm just going to assume it had better action because everybody's just on wires on a blue screen or a green screen set, and they're just flying around each other. Well, there's no weight behind any of the fights.
And to be fair, I'm forgetting its actual name right now, but wire fu or wire kung fu, things like you'd see in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that is a established genre of martial arts movies.
There's no weight behind anything.
Well, but that's the thing, right? Like you're running on air, you're doing these physically impossible things and stuff.
But you can still like have weight behind, like a punch. You can see that a punch, like, oh, that hurt or something.
Mm-hmm.
When it's connecting with my face and I'm flying at the same rate that I want, like, you can't feel it. People aren't like getting punched through the air. They're floating through the air on a wire rig to the ground.
Well, and I think the thing there is like how it would actually work in a competent martial arts movie. Yes, there'd be some impact, but more on it would be about like the incredible movements and
the choreography,
the grace, the stunts, the choreography. But in order for that to happen, the camera needs to understand how to capture it.
Yes.
This movie likes to drunkenly tilt the camera to the side and then just keep cutting to boring static shots.
Well, and they also, every time they would do something that's like, we're about to have like a fight thing, their arms become CG and they're kind of just flailing around too.
Yeah, because this director also directed The One with Jet Li. So he's directed martial arts movies before. I haven't seen The One, but I would assume that the problem here then is this kid who's playing Goku just doesn't know how to do martial arts.
That's probably a part of it. He is not good.
Chow Yun-fat's in this. He sure knows how to do martial arts. He also gets no fight scenes.
No, he's not. He's Master Roshi. Goku gets to do everything. Also, they never fight anyone. Goku fights Mai, who is shapeshifted to look like not Chun-Li, Chi-Chi. He fights the two Piccolo clones, and that's hardly a fight. And then he fights Piccolo.
Oh, and he fights the bullies.
Oh, yes, that too.
I feel like there's a good amount of fights in this.
I suppose.
Important fights? No. But
also, the movie's only 80 minutes, so it's not like you can have much time for important fights.
Yeah.
God, imagine seeing a movie nowadays in theaters that's an hour 20, a live action movie in theaters.
I mean, I saw Petite Mama. That was like 70 something minutes, but that's also a French art house movie.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like a blockbuster.
Yeah, no, I
weird.
wish.
That's
I
foreign,
wish.
Right?
How many more blockbusters would be better? But like also, it's not like that's an asset to this movie.
No, it's a detriment to this movie.
There's no breathing room. And I wonder how much of that is the editor realizing that if there was breathing room,
that there's nothing to work with.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, people realize how much of a paper tiger this movie is. The real problem here is the script.
I don't think a good script could have really saved Justin Chatwin either.
He's the other big problem. He is the other huge problem in this movie. I don't know why on earth he got this role.
Probably trying to sign someone young who could do a bunch of movies. I was reading stuff about him. He was so excited to do more. He's like, yeah, we're going to introduce Krillin in the second one. Poor guy.
If he was dumb enough to think there'd be a second one, I can't give him too much sympathy. He is impressively bad.
He's just bland.
He
There's nothing. There's
he
nothing.
can't emote.
No.
All the dialogue sounds very foreign coming out of his mouth, which
Like he's just now understanding like what he's saying as it comes out of his mouth.
yeah, but
like
not,
it's his first time actually like doing the line.
yeah, and not even for like the tough Dragon Ball lore lines,
Yeah.
of which there are none. Even just like if he goes up to a character and is like, "How are you doing, Master Roshi?" It's like he's never heard any of those lines before. And he gives the stupidest expressions.
I just remember when I was little seeing this trailer, before I was even into Dragon Ball, seeing this trailer over and over and over. I don't even know if it made the movie. I think it must have been at the party and I just missed it. But he's like looking at himself in the mirror of a car. He has a toothpick in his mouth. And he goes, and, or like he does like a thing and his hair flies up. His hair spikes up. I was like, I hate this guy.
He has that.
I saw that trailer over and over and over again.
He does have that very punchable, this guy, he's not popular, but he thinks he deserves to be popular,
Yeah.
kind of, which is fair because this movie has a approach to the character, which is this character is important.
Care about him.
We're not going to explain to you why.
Any
He
of the
just
characters.
is.
Cool. When you have 15 cast members, it should be pretty easy. It's like, here's the important ones. They're the ones you should care about. Like Yamcha.
Well,
who
explain
has-
Yamcha.
Yamcha's a thief who shows up in the original. He's terrified of women, and his wish that he would like to make is to not be terrified of women so that he can go out on a date. He is a thief in this one. He traps them. They bring him along with him, and that's it. That's the extent of his character.
He does help them get a Dragon Ball. After that, I don't know why either of them would want to, like, while either party would still be interested in their partnership, because the next place they take him is an active volcano. Once I saw that, I'm like, I'm out. An active volcano where he fights some putties, probably the worst looking part of the movie.
No, I
because
think Monkey Goku's the worst looking part.
Monkey Goku's bad, but there's a real problem with scale at this volcano where I'm
Yeah.
like, because it's all digital and stuff, the characters are appearing way too big. The whole movie feels very enclosed. It feels very claustrophobic in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. None of the characters have personality. I guess the closest would be Roshi.
Who's kind of zany, but like also I am wise.
They're playing him way too safe, I feel like.
Yeah.
You could go either direction with the wise mentor or like the zany drunken master type thing.
Yeah.
They're like, middle of the road. Like as the story progresses, you're like, okay, what is these characters' internal lives? What is their motivations?
They don't have any.
Well, they have motivations. They're just like, Goku's motivation is, oh, he killed my uncle. Revenge time.
Yep.
Bulma's is like, I want a Dragon Ball. Gotta keep going with the guys who have Dragon Balls. It just,
And then there's Yamcha.
yeah, Yamcha is, I forget, like every time you mention him, that I forgot that he's in the movie. I have to do like mental calculus to be like, wait, which one was he? He's taking up Chi-Chi's spot really, because Chi-Chi is like competent.
Yeah.
She's a good fighter, which is something they tell me about Goku, but I don't believe.
The first time you see him fighting is getting his butt kicked by his uncle. Then he beats up the bullies, and then he's just constantly training the rest of the movie. But things are just going his way in like the fights that are supposed to matter in quotation marks.
In the tournament, Mai fights Chi-Chi
Yes.
and gets some of her blood.
Yes.
Why did that matter?
Because she impersonated Chi-Chi to steal the Dragon Balls.
Oh, okay.
Because Goku thinks with his penis,
Okay.
as was previously established when as soon as Chi-Chi offered herself as a reward, he was immediately able to do the Kamehameha.
Yeah. Another thing where it's just like this character doesn't deserve it, but we're going to reward him with something.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem with not having a motivation is like, at least with good characters, if they're doing a good thing, you can be like, well, at least they're being noble, even if it's not a good character. At least Yamcha's doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I need to understand why Piccolo wants to take over Earth. And this movie
He's
just
just
really,
the bad guy.
the movie starts out with a like 100 years in the past or something like that. Do those ever work?
I think it's like the equivalent of, as you know, you don't know this stuff, but here's something to make us care, lore drop, as opposed to, as you know, lore drop to make the audience understand just in a completely different context. And they never work.
I feel like it would be so much more impactful if we don't have any of that. If we don't have any of that, we don't have an exciting start to the movie.
We shave
But-
off 5 minutes, so we're now at a 77-minute movie.
True. But I feel like without any knowledge of who Piccolo is, then when Piccolo shows up and starts killing people, I would be more invested because I'm
Yeah.
like, why is there a green guy here now?
Yeah.
There's no intrigue behind Piccolo. It seems like he's doing a pretty good job at getting what he wants. I guess I'll see him in the third act.
Yeah, and there's no direct conflict between Goku and Piccolo. Like Piccolo kills Gohan. Yes. Goku doesn't know what Piccolo looks like. They don't know each other exist basically up until that last 10 minutes.
Piccolo has no presence.
No.
He's just there.
Yeah, he's the goal.
People are telling us how evil he is, but like in a pretty casual way. Like Ernie Hudson seems perturbed when he finds out Piccolo's back, but he's not like, oh no, I have to marshal our forces. He's obviously not a big enough threat that all those people training went with them. Nah, we're just going to send the 4 people, one of which is a random thief.
One of which is a girl with guns, and one of which is Goku, who learned how to fight 2 days ago.
Well, he's the main character. Haven't you read the script? So in the end, there's a solar eclipse that's happening.
Blood
And that's
moon.
what we find out is that it's unlocking the monkey in Goku.
Yes.
Who was the sidekick of Piccolo back a 1,000 years ago.
or whenever it was.
Why does Piccolo care about having this sidekick? He has
It's his best friend, man.
I guess. I think that'd
Hey,
be more
buddy.
interesting. All the time he wastes doing that, he could just be like, "Yo, Dragon, I want to destroy the world. I have the Dragon Balls." But no, he wastes all this time in a thing that would be inevitable. He doesn't have to be there for Goku to turn into a monkey. Goku would just turn into the monkey.
He would?
Yeah, and if he did, and there was no one around to fight, Goku would probably just be confused and stay as a monkey.
Yeah, he wouldn't. Master Roshi wouldn't have died
Yeah.
trying to trap Piccolo, and then he wouldn't have gotten sad.
So he would destroy the world, and Goku would be the monkey, the
He has
terrible
no motivation
CGI
whatsoever.
monkey.
Piccolo really doesn't have any. I just want to kill the world
At the same
because I'm
time,
evil.
at the same time, if they were really wanting to make this a franchise, what they should have done is make the goal turning Goku into the monkey. Don't even have the Dragon Balls in there. So at the end, Piccolo can be like, "You guys beat me now, but now I'm gonna go find the Dragon Balls." So, and then the second movie could be a race. But also,
But the first movie's still called Dragon Ball, but they never mentioned the Dragon Balls.
no, they can mention it.
Oh,
He
okay.
has a couple of them. Like it could even end with him getting Bulmas or whatever. I don't know. Why am I trying to fix this movie
No,
from
there's no fixing
2009?
it. Yeah.
This movie is what's the words I'm looking for, Joe?
Boring, sloppy, horribly paced, bad,
So much plot condensed
Yeah.
into such little time.
squished. Squished is a good word for it.
Yeah, it's a squished movie.
Yeah.
Man, what a disappointment.
Okay, so of our 3 anime, this is bad, by the way. This isn't.
Oh yeah, and it makes the mistake, I think, of playing this straight, which we haven't seen in our other 2 movies.
Yeah, everything else is going for the goofy, and this just goes for care. It's serious, man. All right, how are we gonna rank all 3 of these?
Speed Racer has the most artistic quality, and I'd say it looks the best.
It's also the most entertaining, I feel like,
Yeah, it's the longest. I think that's the
but
only
it's-
thing dragging it down.
but it's the most like non-train wreck of them all too.
Best cast too. I don't think there's a single bad choice in the cast of Speed Racer.
No, Death Note firmly in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I wish Death Note could be better, but there's a solid maybe 20 minutes spread throughout the film that's good.
Yeah, and then here's Death Note for all you visual watchers of the podcast that exist, aka none of you. It's firmly in the middle. Then you gotta keep digging to get to where Dragon Ball ends up.
To where Piccolo was buried 2,000 years ago.
How does he come back? He just does.
He does. He was just digging his way up for a couple thousand years. I think the thing that buries us so far down is there is no vision here. I think there were a lot of people in the cast who liked Dragon Ball. I would even imagine maybe the director liked Dragon Ball. But liking something doesn't mean that you have an interesting take on it.
And then Fox also just didn't give them like any money to even try to succeed.
Well, I also think that comes down. Directors have a ton on their shoulders when it
Yeah.
comes to skills and stuff. But a very underrated skill is how a director uses their money, which brings us to Joe. Do you know who was originally supposed to direct this movie?
No, I don't.
There were a lot of names thrown out there, but Robert Rodriguez was one of them.
Of course he was.
Patron saint of the podcast, Robbie Rod.
Of
And
course he was.
I think he could take this budget and do amazing things with it.
I feel like the direction would be even more aimless because aimless because I really don't think Robbie Rod knows what a Dragon Ball is.
I mean, the directors didn't write the script on this movie. I
No.
don't think Robbie Rod would have helped with that, but I just think purely from visuals, and then also like Danny Trejo as Piccolo would have been really funny.
Of course he was. I could have guessed that. Every time I see bad green screen, it's just a Robbie Rod joke in the back of my pocket being like, could have done so much more in his garage.
Jackie Chan in the 90s also said that this would make a great movie, but he pointed out that the special effects would never, like, he would never get a budget big enough to make it look good.
I think nowadays you could probably do it. I still think it's one of those, like, if you're going for the straight adaptation, it's unadaptable. Like, I think it's one of the things, you just jump in. Everything's established. Like, it's not its own thing. It's we're just doing, like, the next Dragon Ball Super movie is going to be live action for whatever reason.
I mean, I feel like you could do that in Japan. I don't think enough people in America know the lore.
No. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm saying I think that's the only way to really do it. Because I think, like, you know, computer and stuff has gotten to the point where you could make it look a little more convincing.
Oh, I think in 2009 they probably could have made it look
Iron Man
convincing.
did come out the year before this.
And this feels like the problem here is that while it has martial arts scenes that are clearly taking inspiration from martial arts movies, it is trying more to be a superhero origin movie.
Yeah.
This feels kind of like it's those Sam Raimi movies are sure are something. Let's make one of those.
Dragon Ball. Hey, at least James Marsden got to redeem himself.
All the villains come back and are good guys.
Well, he came back as a bad guy, but I guess the actor is a good guy now.
I mean, any big takeaways from our experiment here? Our journey into mistakes, I think, is a general
our journey
word.
Of the East coming to the West.
Is there any more, we aren't, but if we were going to revisit this series, are there any more American adaptations of anime that you would think are worth checking out?
Worth checking out? No, I'm sure there's more that we could, like, get something out of, but, like, I haven't watched, like, many of the Japanese ones, but just stop trying. Like, it's just a thing where, like, this art form exists in the space that it does and it works in that space. Can we not try to, like,
Well,
I don't think there's ever been a success.
No, probably not. I mean, I don't think it would be impossible to adapt something like Demon Slayer over here. But then, like, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point?
Especially in the 2000s when our last two movies came out and then when Death Note was talked about. At least with that period, anime wasn't as prevalent. It was still kind of harder to get anime.
Mm-hmm.
And so the anime you got was usually better. Nowadays, I would say it's more of an equal field. Like, I'd say there's probably more bad anime getting brought over to America.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, there's more anime being made in Japan, like, just like in general.
But, like, the problem there is that if only the good stuff's getting brought over, your bar is already super high. What's the point in doing an adaptation of one of these things if the product that exists already is so good?
I think we're also getting to a point where it's like, oh, these anime movies sure do make a lot of money. As the Demon Slayer movie and the Jujutsu Kaisen movie show, maybe we're just gonna make animated movies.
Yeah, which is a smart move. I enjoyed the Jujutsu Kaisen movie. I mean, I enjoyed Mugen Train.
Yeah,
I've never watched either of those shows.
Well, Mugen Train was like a sequel thing, but Jujutsu Kaisen it stood on its own.
My point there being, a guy who's not super into anime and doesn't have pre-establishing connections to the IPs, was able to go into them and enjoy them.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like this is just a smart move. Where's My Hero Academia movie?
Oh, there's been like 3 of them.
Yeah, but like they didn't permeate in the same way that I think Mugen Train did or something.
Yeah, the difference is they're not good.
Well, Joe, you also don't like modern anime, so
yes, this is true.
Okay, I'm gonna make you pick.
Okay,
I'm not gonna play this game because I haven't seen enough anime.
Okay,
you have to pick one anime.
Evangelion. Just kidding.
I mean, out of all the ones that's possible, like,
yeah, but that's the one that's like stops being anime halfway through and is just depression.
Okay, so Evangelion is your answer.
No, that's Pacific Rim is Evangelion. If we're going to like what it would be, mechs fighting.
Yeah, mechs fighting powered by love.
Yeah.
Okay, but no, you have to pick an anime to become live action.
Like one that I think would be like, do I want it to be bad? Like, what is my goal here?
I would assume it's what has the best potential, or like if this turned out to be good, that would be so cool.
I don't know, make a Naruto movie somehow work.
Yeah, I feel like there'd be the audience there.
Yeah.
The fact that there hasn't been a Naruto or Sailor Moon movie is fascinating to me.
There's plays of Sailor Moon.
Plays? Like
yes.
Stage plays?
Yes.
I assume these have not gone to Broadway.
No, they're in Japan.
Okay. That makes more sense, right? Like, okay. And finally, so we're talking about Naruto movie. You have to pick a director for it out of the 4 directors we've talked about. I mean, combining the Wachowskis as a team.
Yeah.
Teaming them back up.
Can I change my answer then? Wachowskis
Sure.
are for doing a Naruto movie. Adam Wingard has proven that he can do, after Godzilla v. Kong, he's proven he can do the big ones with big CG monstrosities. No, he couldn't do an Evangelion movie, though.
I was about to say there's a lot more to Evangelion than the kaiju.
Yeah, the Wachowskis. No one else has. Who was it? Brian Chan? What was his name that did this?
James Wong.
James Wan couldn't make this movie. He couldn't make another movie.
Yeah. But what about Robbie Rod Evangelion movie?
Oh, man.
I mean, Robbie Rod did do an anime adaptation.
Alita's good, too. Alita's really good.
So there is one good one out there.
Yeah.
There has to be an exception to prove the rule.
Alita's really good.
It was fine.
I want a sequel so bad.
Well, that's the big problem with it, right? It's not having an ending kind of hurts it.
Yeah.
One final question for you, Joe, before we wrap things up. What would you wish with the Dragon Balls? Because defeating Piccolo is a boring wish.
So I was wishing back Master Roshi.
Yeah. Especially since these characters have known each other for like 3 days.
Can I tell you? I think the wishes in the show are clever sometimes. I think the most recent one in the Super movie is great because Bulma and Frieza are both searching for the Dragon Balls. Frieza wants to wish himself to be 3 centimeters taller, not more than that, because then people would notice. But just enough to where they're like, oh, he's taller. And Bulma keeps wishing herself to be 2 years younger at a time, but not more than that, because people would think that people would start noticing.
I assume the searching for the Dragon Balls is very deadly.
No. It's like a cakewalk nowadays.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It takes them like 2 days to do it
How
nowadays.
annoyed would the dragon be if you summon him?
Well, it's
And he's
once a year.
Like, oh man, guys, that's all you wanted. And I get this is my job. I'll do it. But man, you make it interesting for me.
So I want something that like I want to be like 2 times better than guitar than I am right now. Not like a god at it.
But I feel like with guitar, it'd be fine if you noticed.
No, but I don't want it to be like, how did he get so good or something like that? No,
Oh.
wow, he's progressed.
Yeah, and just every year you go on the journey. So they're like, oh, that makes sense. He's progressively getting better.
Yeah.
He's going on these globe trekking adventures, though.
It's tour. It's just tour.
Yeah. Elijah, we have to go on tour to these 7 locations. Joe, these are all over the world. We can't afford this.
Joe, there's no market in the Amazon.
This location is just the middle of the Atlantic, Joe.
We're playing to all the sea creatures.
I don't know what I'd wish for. I'd wish to be able to buy a house. That'd be nice. Well, guys, thank you for going on this journey. The journey from east to west. A journey to the west, if you would. This has been a lot of fun. I've kind of gotten burnt out on doing new release movies for a little while, but so being able to do these miniseries will be fun. Me and Joe are working up on our next one, but our next episode is actually going to have a guest. Our friend Danny Vincent from Why Is with Ty and Dan and Looking for the Ocean and the Snub Club is going to be joining us. Joe, what are we going to talk about next week?
Bandale Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the new Disney Plus movie by the Lonely Island crew. So if you want to hear that, definitely subscribe to us on any podcasting platform you would like. Rate us 5 stars if you are able to do that. Leave reviews. That boosts us up in the algorithm. It lets other people see our podcast so they can join in on the fun. And if you want to reach out to us, you can send us an email at hottrashunlimited@gmail.com. Joe, give me a word of wisdom.
There are no rules.